Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric. Thank you for tuning in. Jerome Powell. We all know he's raising interest rates. He's going nuts, right? Um, and the thing that is top of mind for me that I keep asking myself is how is the federal government going to afford these higher interest rates? And I've said this multiple times, but I saw this article from Zero Hedge the other day that I thought would be interesting to go through. Okay, so the U.S. debt servicing costs has obviously gone up significantly. We took out a lot of debt over the last 2 years to give everyone stimmy checks and lock you in a cage, and pretended that wasn't going to affect the economy. So we took out all that debt, and we took it out in 2-year Treasury notes, which was really dumb. Okay, so now we're going to have to refinance those at higher interest rates, at the market interest rate, right? Which is why everyone's saying eventually all roads lead to everything being monetized, meaning the Federal Reserve buys all of it, buys all of the debt because the federal government can't pay for its expenditures. Okay, reading through this article here. Jerome Powell has been talking tough on inflation and clearly wants to leave a Volcker like legacy. We've gone through this before. We have way more debt today. That's why he can't. But the U.S. is far different today than it was in the 80s. The recent Q3 U.S. government borrowing report may throw a wrench in his plans. All right, so U.S. debt servicing costs skyrocketed in Q3. Why? Because they have to refinance a bunch of their debt at higher interest rates. We have $31 trillion in debt, as you all know. And what that looks like, if you look at this chart, if we continue at these 4.5% average yields over the duration on the yield curve, just servicing the debt would be $1.4 trillion per year. That's 29% of the 2022 fiscal or federal tax receipts. 29%. Just interest alone. No benefit, no nothing. Just going to interest. That's if our debt stays at 31 trillion. And it's going up 1.5 trillion a year. So you can see how this gets out of whack fairly soon. And the real question people are asking themselves, it's not a free market question. It is, what is Jerome Powell? How connected is he politically? And will he give in to political pressure? You guys have probably seen politicians coming out and saying, Jerome Powell, writing letters to him, Jerome Powell, you've got to stop this. You're going to kill the economy. But what you should ask yourself, and none of us know Jerome Powell, so none of us can see what he's going to do because he's pivoted before in 2019 after saying he's going to raise interest rates, and then the repo market collapsed, and he changed directions. We didn't have inflation then, though. Now we have inflation. And so the real question is, will Jerome Powell stick to his guns? Because he doesn't care if you lose your job. He doesn't care if the stock market crashes or the housing market crashes. Where it really, what really matters is if the federal government can't pay its debts. And when the federal government can't pay its debts, it just takes on more debt to pay the last debt. You know how it goes, right? And will he give in to political pressure? Because he is supposed to be over here and the federal government's over here. The question is, how much effect will this political pressure have on him? Because if he sticks to his guns, what that will eventually force the federal government to do is either inflate the currency away by printing more money or live within its means. See what I mean? Like, politicians don't want to do that. Because if Jerome Powell keeps raising rates and the interest debt on the government is so burdensome, they're going to have to cut programs or print. They're going to have to cut programs or print. Cutting programs is not really popular. And Jerome Powell isn't up for, I guess, re-election until 2026. So we got a while, like 4 more years of this guy. The question is he really independent? Because if he sticks to his guns, what it forces the federal government to do is pay higher interest rates on its debt, which means they either have to take on more debt to pay the higher interest rates or cut programs. When they take on more debt to pay the higher interest rate, guess what that leads to? The word we don't like, inflation. That's right. So we're all wondering, how independent is Jerome Powell? Sounds not too much like a free market to me. But if he sticks to his guns, we're going to be twice what the best military in the world. We could fund 2 of the best militaries in the world, because the United States military's budget was like $750 billion. We could fund 2 of those with the price of just the interest on our debt. How insane is that? Okay. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. See you guys in the next one.